session, right? So then session number will change. The link also will change. So please note down this, those who are getting confused. See, for the people who wants to discuss the doubts, right? I have created one question and answer forum, right? So if you are having any doubts in any problem, for example, here, Ahlad is having problem on 17 and 20 of model programs. So please write down your query here. Just attach reply to this main query, right? So this is my main query. Here you can just click on the reply button. So whatever the program number and what is your doubt, write down neatly. I mean, the reason you need to learn this is in future, all the communication that you are going to do in companies is through the official mails, right? Most of the communications, right? So you should know how to write your problems and how to get the information. So exactly what you are looking for and what is your issue you need to mention. So don't attach any code and all. Just let me know what is the problem you're facing in case of test case or logically if you're having any doubt you can mention. So I will reply here only whenever I'm free. I'll just open the Q&A forum and I'll reply there. So this is a very good way to keep in touch with me so that even whenever I'm free or whenever I'm busy, I have a Q&A forum and I can just look into it whenever I want to reply to any student. So some people are discussing here already. I think this is a good way, but please do it in neatly. I mean, here in what cases we can use statement somebody has answered. So like this, make it more professional, the replies and all. I think few people have already started discussing their doubts here. So you can have your own Q&A questions and you can just discuss with each other here. So there is no rule as such that only if you have doubt you have to discuss anything. Just don't copy paste everything directly, but make it very concise. I mean, it should be understandable by everyone, whoever is referring this. So Q&A forum is good for to keep in touch with others. So just try to be professional. Don't use any unnecessary, unwanted comments, because your name and roll number will be monitored carefully. So try to utilize this professionally and answer your queries. Each of you can discuss among yourself, not an issue. So try to do this from now on. Any doubt, any problem. Uh, First thing is to get it clarified through the mentors. Worst case, if they are not able to help you, then you attach here. If even if you don't get respond here 1 or 2 days, then you can come and meet me personally. That is the way to do the things professionally, because in a session we can't keep answering the queries of individual student, and we can't waste much time on the session because we need to cover a lot of uh, topics also, right? Alan, is that clear? I'll definitely guide you. If whatever doubt you have, please mention there. So no need to hesitate about your queries. This is the right time to learn properly. Any other doubts regarding subject or topics, please mention there. Okay. So Q&A, discussion and announcement. Here, Q&A forum. So here, this is the main query and the forum section. Click on that. Reply to this particular main. This is my query. Reply to this. Suppose if you want to reply to this person, Pranav, right? You can reply to him. So you can attach, you can select that particular box and click on the reply button, right? So try to do this from now on. So announcement section means not this one. So I think better I'll delete this off so that you won't get confused. Right. So not this announcement section. I hope you understood. The homepage announcement section, right? So this is what I mentioned, homepage announcement section before logging in. So you have to just click here and log into the session. Yeah. So before I go to the topic, how was your quiz experience? Did you try to solve it by yourself? How was your and the basics, whatever you understood, right? So let me open just quickly. Next 5 minutes, we'll go through this quiz session which we conducted last Saturday, right? So these are the kind of MCQs you will be getting in the company exams. So I mean, these are basic levels just to get you familiarized with the kind of code snippets and MCQs you'll get in the exam. So in coming days, we will do it. We'll increase the level of question, and definitely it will help you. And most of you people face the server load issues. Even I wanted to check that how many people can take at a time. So I think with our server capacity, I think maximum 500 can only log in at a time. So after that, it comes down to little bit slow. So to avoid that in the coming days, session wise, I'll try to keep. I mean, in the lab during the lab session itself, I'll try to keep, or else every session anyway you'll be getting poll questions, right? So these things we can do. So you need not to panic about it. So this is a basic quiz session just to get you familiarized with what kind of questions in Python you'll be getting, right? So the first question was how can you format the output to include variable value in an F string? So it's a simple question which I already taught it, correct? So it's related to basically formatting. So how do you format it? I think whoever it is, this is an example I've taken Sachin, right? So he selected the wrong answer because this is a normal printing, right? So using in an F string, right? So what I asked is using F string. So this is one way, right? Dot format you can use. Uh, Basically, you want to format it. So you're not trying to print the value. So obviously you need to use the format method. So this is one basic way of doing it, correct? So what is the purpose of indentation? So your answer is incorrect. Defines variables and function scope, right? Uh, the correct answer is what? Defines variables and function scope, not one and three. So one and three means what is one? Improves readability. So this is not exactly the reason why we use indentation. So see, it's a simple question, but still it's a confusing one. That's why you need to know what is the purpose of that particular topic. So the actual reason is to define the length limitations of that particular variable and the function scope, where exactly it starts and ends, right? So readability is not the main purpose of indentation. So it's a bit tricky question. People think that readability is one of the reason why we use indentation instead of brackets, right? So it's not a correct answer. So what is the output of following Python code? Again, this is a simple question using dot format, correct? So here, just to confuse you guys, I've added dot format. Inside that, I've added first y and next I've added x. So what does it mean? Whatever the variable value 20, that will be allocated to this flower bracket and 10 will be allocated to this one, right? So the output will be the value of x is 20 and y is 10. So some of the students have given it wrong. So just to confuse you guys, I have done like this. So you need to be careful before analyzing the question, right? Similarly, what is the correct way of defining multi-line string? So this also I discussed. So you have to use three double quotes at a time and end with the three double quotes. So all keywords in Python are in. So this is again one of the important question. So the answer is none of the above. That means there are few keywords. For example, right? So there is a keyword called as 1 minute. Just I need to reduce the length. Okay, so there is a keyword called as none, right? So all of you know. So what is none? So none indicates it's an empty data type. So in this keyword, n is capital, right? Remaining uh, alphabets are small case. Similarly, if you take true and false, right? So these are the some of the keywords which we have in Python. So true and false here also F is capital, T is capital, here N is capital, right? So not completely, both lowercase and uppercase. Some cases first letter capital, some cases all small cases, right? So you can't say both A and B. So it's none of the above. So it is not exactly one particular type. Understood? So similarly, yeah, how many of you got this one correct? I just want answer from you guys. Yeah, so I've hidden it. So if you want to review it, you have to listen to me. Okay, so can anyone tell me what you understood by this question? Right. So x equal to y equal to 10 comma 20, result equal to x equal to y, print result. How many of you understood this question? It's a bit confusing. So here basically we are trying to assign 10 and 20 to x or y, or both x and y will be having 10 and 20. X equal to 10 and y equal to 10 is what Aditya is telling. Any other answers? X and Y store tuple. Yeah. So those who know tuple concept, they can understand it. Let me just hide this ones. Okay. So basically, if you want me to explain this, x equal to y equal to 10 comma 20. Right. Then what we're doing? Result equal to x equal to y, print result. Right. So we are getting the output as 2. But before comparing that, you can try to print both x and y. So what you're getting the answer is 10 and 20. This is called as a tuple concept. So in the coming sessions, we will learn Python collections, where we will be learning about list, tuple, sets and dictionaries. So this is just to confuse you. So here, since both the values are 10 and 20 and they are matching, so the output will be true. So many people get confused with this. So if I replace this equal to with y, right now you see x is 10 and y is 20. So just one extra character can change the output of the code, correct? So here instead of comma, if I put equal to, it becomes tuple. If I put comma, it becomes variable, normal variable, right? So x is assigned to 10 and y is assigned to 20. You need to be careful with this kind of MCQ questions. Yeah, so guess the output. No recording. So please attend the session, don't try to miss it. If you are able to do self-learning, please do it. But if you want to learn through my classes, then the only way is to attend my session. Okay, so num equal to 7. So here formatted integer with leading zeros. So this also I covered. But what was the problem with this code? What is missing here? So it is not printing any leading zero. What is the reason? Because zero itself is not going to be considered as a that format for applying the zeros before the number. So you have to mention the integer value, right? So only then it becomes a formatting, right? So this is a common mistake students will do. So 04D, so 0 itself cannot take it as a leading 0. After 0, you have to mention the number of digits that you want as a 0, right? This is again one more question to just confuse you. I think here he made a mistake. Similarly, here also none of the above. Why it is none of the above? Anyone? So what is the reason here? Percentage D format, a real number is required, not string. So whenever you want to use this kind of formatting using D, percentage D, the corresponding data type should be string, right? So here the data type that I have is string, but here the value that I'm mentioning is integer. So obviously there is a mismatch in the data type. So definitely this gives you the type error. So it is called as a type error. Suppose if I change this grid to some number, then definitely it will work because this is format specification which I'm mentioning for the digit percentage 08, and here the college is an integer number, right? So D, so you need to give careful attention to the small things that comes in the MCQ question. Similarly, this we covered in the last session. I think one of the student also asked this question, so I just added that as an MCQ. So shorthand notation, right? This is a shorthand notation. So else if we don't have in shorthand notation. So x equal to 40, if I is greater than 10, else you can just print some other number. So this will work out. But if you want to use ELIF, then it gives you a syntax error, right? So you can't use a shorthand notation for ELIF. So just uh, remember this point. So no shorthand notation for else if. Okay. Yeah. Again, this question also. See all these small doubts which students interacted with me, I've added as the MCQ question. So this is also not allowed in Python because you can't concatenate string with integer, right? So if you want to concatenate two values, both of them has to be belonging to the same data type. Okay, so here it is correct because the data type is string. Another way is to convert is suppose what was previously 18, right? So you can convert that 18 into string by applying string function. Okay, so just print it instead of printing the type. Okay, now it is concatenating because we converted that 18 into string. So str is an inbuilt function which converts the data value into string value. So similarly, yeah, this is one thing which I had not taught you. So let me just quickly explain this. So what is this greater than symbol? I think you have not heard about this, right? What I have had covered is only up to this part. I mean, without this greater than lesser than symbols. So just remove this. So if I remove this, there is no much change. I just add 0 before it. So you can check if I add 0, it is just reserving 10 spaces for that particular string. Then if it is not sufficient, it is adding extra zeros. Similarly, if I put greater than and 0, so it is adding before that. If I put less than, it is adding after that. So this is one more notation to format your string, right? Greater than, less than symbol. So one indicates what? What is this one indicate? What happens if I remove this one? Can anyone tell me? Does it work? So if I remove that one, I get the first string. So this is ordering of the value, right? So 0 indicates the first string by default 0 value. 1 indicates the second string. So that is this college. So grid remaining values filled with zeros. By default, it attaches after the string. If you put greater than, it does it before the string, but it is not adding any zeros. So if you want to add zeros, just print 0 before the 10s, right? So this also string formatting. We call it as string formatting. So the correct answer is this one. Similarly, here what happens, you will be printing, right? The total length is 6 digit. If it is not sufficient, it will add zeros before that. But since it is a negative number, one space is reserved for the negative number. You can check here. One space is reserved for the negative number. Though it is 6 digit, remaining all spaces will not be filled with the zeros, because one space I want to fix it for that notation, which is negative symbol, right? Then the remaining values are filled with zero. Again, this is, again, many people did mistake here. They thought it's all zeros and 595, or minus three zeros 595. So until you try yourself, you won't get the clarity. Negative operator can be used with strings again. So you cannot use negative operator with strings in Python. This also simple questions. All these are simple questions. Should be able to answer them if they ask in the interview. Many people would have tried and answered during the quiz. I mean, after typing, but without typing, you should know these things, right? So here, grid Python. If I don't add space, if I don't add comma, it becomes a single string. If I add a comma, they become two separate strings, correct? So just small things you need to know. So again, here it is round off to the previous nearest value. That the nearest value is 4. So pretty easy, right? So these are some of the most basic questions that I have asked. People have tried it with a lot of interest, but I need a better performance in the coming sessions. I'll just show you the overall, you know, so the average is around 9 to 10. More is 6 to 7, correct? So you need to improve again. So day by day, if you practice, definitely you can crack all these kind of MCQs with much clarity. So average is around 9 to 7 to 10 max, right? So maximum 7 people have got around 93 people. 90 people have got 9 to 10. Only few people have cracked all the questions. Nobody has cracked all the questions, right? So MCQ is the first round that you will be filtered with. So see, around these many people, around 100, more than 100 people are still not learning properly. 5 to 6, 66, 45, 31, 21, 19, and 29. So you guys can analyze yourself where you are going wrong. So now you understand how important it is to know from the basics. So if you're not able to crack these kind of questions, then what you'll be able to do with the much harder code snippet questions, right? So please try to improve on these things. So yes. Okay. So coming back to our topic, I think I had just started, right? For loop. So how can you print this particular numbers are only ones? What is the way to do it? Anyone? In the same code, I want to do the change. Not this one. I think I already told you this. Anjali is very clever. So he's just trying to put this on the top of the for loop. I think this I already given the clue. I don't want to add it before that. Within for loop, I want to do it. Yeah, put the condition. What condition? I think this is much better. I can see your comments also. Put if condition inside for loop. Sir, using break and continue statement. Okay. If I equal to 0, fine. So what you can do is just put the condition. If I equal to, right? So if I equal to 1, Let us remove this. Okay. So if I make that I equal to 1, you can see it is coming after 0. So it has to be 0, right? Now it went above that, right? So it's a simple thing. So you should be able to do this kind of changes based on your understanding. Or else if you don't want to check with 0, by default it is going from 0 to 5, right? So you know the range function. If you don't mention what is the syntax of the for loop, what is the syntax for the for loop? So you will mention the start value, stop value, and step value, right? So we call it as a step value. If you don't mention these values, by default, it will take from 0 and goes up to 1 less than that given number. Suppose if you don't want to start from 0, you can make it as 1. And here you can, if I equal to 1, you can check, right? So if I equal to 1, print the numbers are. So we are printing up to that particular statement. So along with this, I think I had added, I'd asked one more question regarding multiple input reading. I think what is that question? So A comma B comma C equal to input of dot split, right? So here you are able to read the values, right? So what is the input function? It helps you to read the values with spaces, or you can, if you want to customize, enter the number, right? So you can customize the message also, right? So here, what is the problem with this reading? Can anyone tell me? So split function is splitting the values based on the space, right? Suppose here it is telling me that it is an empty separator because I've not added any condition. So dot split will help you to read the input from the user and split the values accordingly based on your requirement. So if I add a space here, that means it is separating them based on the uh, separator value, that is space. Suppose I don't want to use separator always. Sometimes they'll give the restriction separate based on the X symbol. So that means, right. So now what is the output I'm getting? It is splitting the values, input values based on the H symbol, right? So 120/4 becomes the value of A, and this 67 and 56 becomes the value of B. So let us try to check the type of B, I mean the data type. So you can see that the type of B, I'm getting it as a string. So they're exactly not the integer values, correct? By default, you are reading them as a string based on the whatever the splitting character that you are mentioning here in the split function. So this is one thing I asked you. Somebody also just introduced about map function, right? So now I don't want to convert them again every time, read the string, then convert into integer. So it is a double work, right? So unnecessarily. So what we do is we use something called as map function. So in detail, I will tell you in problems, what are some problems where we are going to apply this map function. So basics of map function is you have to mention the map function name itself, and in the bracket, the first parameter should be what data type or what function this particular map is going to apply, right? So then in the second value, you can mention the function name or the logical thing that you want to apply for that particular map. Right. So here, if I try to check the type of B, right? So I'm going to get the answer as integer because what this map is doing is basically Okay, so it is reading each input from the user, and one by one it is converting them into integer, right? So it is applying the int function on the input values that you are reading from the user. So to verify this again, just try to add a plus b here. So what is the output I'm getting here after printing a plus b value? So I'm getting like this. So it is not actually adding the value that is 56 and this value. It is just concatenating them. So that's why we are not converting them actually to integers. So here let us do the same thing. Right. So here I'm getting the output as 57 for this particular print. That means 12 and 45 are getting added. So hope you understood what is the importance of map function. We'll be using it in many problem solving techniques. So based on our requirement, we'll be converting the data type from one format to another format based on the constraint and the test cases, right? So this is one thing I wanted to tell you. Any doubt till now? Yes, guys, any doubt? So just to refresh your mode, let me launch few poll question. Based on the poll, try to answer. Okay, so first poll question, I've launched it. Please scroll down it, you will get the screenshot. Hope you are able to see the screenshot of the code that I've attached. Try to see it and guess the output. If you're not able to see the screenshot from your login, try to see my screen. It is visible here. So it will be available up to 9/7/11, right? Next 1 minute. Yes. So what is the correct answer? So the correct answer is third one. Yeah, correct. So can anyone tell me what is happening here? So basically we have a number 10 and x is 0. We are going up to the length of that particular word. I mean the value of that particular word, which is 10. So for I in range 10, for every number, so x plus equal to I, right? So that's what we're trying to do. So let me just type this. Right. So what we're doing, x plus equal to I. Then we're printing x value, right? So 0, 1, 3, 6, 10, 15, 21, 28, 36, and 45. But one question that I want to ask is, can I, instead of writing x plus equal to I, can I make it as x plus x? You know increment operator, right? That which you have learned in the first year, increment operator. So is it same as x plus equal to I? Yes. How many of you answered the question? Why I'm not getting poll results? No one responded to this question. Okay, I'll just. Did you guys answer the poll question or not? Sir, we are unable to see the options. How many of you answered the poll question? I couldn't see the options. Sushma answered. We are unable to see the options. Not able to open, sir. Are you trying to log in from your phone? Just check it out because few people are able to answer. Questions are not visible, but we only got the question. Okay. So anyway, no issue. We'll see. I think even last session also some people complained about it. I don't know why team is not showing. We will see with the next question. Fine. So what is the question I asked here is x plus plus can we do instead of x plus equal to 5. So please note down this x plus plus is not supported in Python. Okay. So x plus plus is not allowed in Python. This shorthand notation is not allowed. So there are two ways. So x plus equal to I you can write. So this is nothing but x equal to x plus 1 or x plus I. Or else if you don't want to use that shorthand notation, x equal to x plus I. This also is fine. So basically for every uh, number that is starting from 0, you are adding x with plus I. So it is getting updated, right? So initially 0, 1, 3, then 3 is getting added with the next number 3. So 6 plus 4 is 10, 10 plus 5 is 15, 15 plus 6 is 21, then 21 plus 7 is 28, then 8, 36, and 9, 45. So x is getting added with the previous sum result, right? So hope that is clear. So x plus plus is not allowed in Python. So don't do that mistake. So I'm going to launch the next poll question. Just let me see whether you're able to see the answer or not. Yeah, before this, I wanted to cover some topic. Before the next poll question. Right. So all of you know the number format system, right? In Python, I think in C you would have already learned it. So what are the number format systems we have in C? Yeah, anyone? Number format in Python. Number formatting means what? So what is the number format that you are using generally? In binary. Okay. Binary, octal, decimal, and hexadecimal. So you should have a basic idea about how to represent these numbers even in Python also, because it is totally different in Python than how you do it in C. So it is much simpler in Python. For example, I have a number which I want to represent in hexadecimal, right? So hexadecimal means how will you write? In Python, we have to write 0 followed by x, small x, right? Then you can mention the value. So what is the syntax? 0 followed by x symbol. Okay. So I mean, there are a lot of ways. One by one, we'll see. Here, what I'm trying to mention is direct assignment. I think Teja is mentioning about the format specifier. So I'm not talking about the format specifier. I am mentioning about how to assign the hexadecimal value directly to the variable, right? So you should know all the different type of assignments. Suppose if I want to print the value hexadecimal, yes, you can just directly print the a value. I mean, whatever the variable value. You know what is happening here? Why I'm getting the answer as 18? Hexadecimal value in decimal format, right? I'm trying to print them by default in decimal format. So 12, 18 in decimal is nothing but 12 in hexadecimal. So what? How do you convert this? How do you convert decimal to hexadecimal or hexadecimal to decimal? How will you convert? Anyone? So here, what conversion we are trying to do? Suppose if I try to print of A, okay. So I'm getting the value as integer only. But why I'm not getting exactly 12? So please revise your binary to decimal, decimal to binary conversion. So I want anyone to mention about this. Why the value is coming as 18 instead of 12? What is the reason? Exact reason. Yeah. Similarly, if you want to represent any value in octal, right? In octal. So in octal, if you want to mention, so just try to print that value. Okay. So now I'm getting the answer as 16. So try to understand what is happening in the code. So here basically what I'm telling the compiler, am I telling the compiler that this 20 is octal or try to convert this 20 into octal? So Abhiram is telling it converted hexadecimal to decimal. Is it really converting hexadecimal to decimal? Okay, so to clarify your doubt, let us take another variable. I'll take this time a as 10. So here I'll try to do print a plus var. Let us delete this one. Okay, so a value is what, 18 plus 10, 20. So you're getting 28, right? So at least, yeah, 12 plus 6 is 18. So in hexadecimal, we have numbers until 16. So 16 plus 2. 16 plus 2 is 18. Okay. I don't know. There is no clarity in your answer. The oracle is telling. Pranav is telling 12 plus 6 equal to 18. X is hexa. Okay. 12 plus 6 equal to 18. We'll delete this. Right. So my simple question is, don't give me the no equations. Just tell me whether VAR, that is 0x12, is it an integer value or hexadecimal value? That is my question. Shrekar is telling integer. In VAR, 0x12 or x is hexa. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yes. So lot of answers, different answers. Yeah, Dwarka is right only, but its answer is not clear. Correct. So I think here, yeah, Lokesh has got it, how to do it manually. So basically what he's trying to do is converting the value, integer value into hexadecimal. So how will you convert the value into hexadecimal? Basically based on this, since hexadecimals are represented with 16 digits, so 2 is the first digit from the right side, rightmost bit, right? So we have to go from right to left associativity. So 2 into 16 power 0 plus, then what? 1 into 16 power 1. So obviously this becomes 0. 16 power 0 is 0, 1. 2 into 1 plus 16 power 1. So 18, right? So now you tell me, are we not converting integer to hexa? It is actually integer format, but when I'm printing the value is getting converted into hexadecimal. So when I assign it, I'm telling the compiler, whenever you want to use that value, use the hexadecimal value for the integer 12. That is the meaning. So what is the understanding here? 12 is an integer, but while doing the operation, it gets converted into, right? So that's what I exactly wanted. So similarly, what is happening here? Same way, 0 into 8 power 0, correct or not? So here we are converting from integer to octal, right? Integer to octal. So same process. But you see the difference. If you want to mention the octal number, 0 followed by O. So O and 0, there is a difference. So please note down. So 0, first thing is 0 for both for hexa and even for octal. But here for hexa, we have to mention X, and for octal, we have to mention O, right? So let me keep it as a small capital O. Still you get the correct answer. Here also, let me keep it as a capital X. Still you get the same answer. So whether small x or capital X doesn't matter, but the syntax you need to remember. So 0 followed by the X, 0 followed by the O to represent the octal value of the given number. Similarly, if you try to print the variable value for binary, so binary also starts with 0 followed by B, right? Then you can mention the number. So why I'm getting 10 here? So 1010 is getting converted into decimal. So here it is a binary number. So this process you need to remember. So manually when I'm assigning, it is a binary number. When I'm printing, it gets converted into decimal. So 1010 in the decimal is 10, right? So what is the shorthand notation to do this? How many of you know 8421 rule? 8421. So you can apply this 16 like that. You can keep on going. So this is 0, 1, then again 0, 1, 0, right? So now you can add sorry, it went off. 1010, right? So 8, 4, 2, 1. So this you are adding, right? So the on bits you are adding. So 8 plus 2 is 10. So apply that 8421 rule for most of the problems. Yes. So which point you didn't get, Pranav? Or else you can just remember 76 part. This one? Okay. So here 0B to represent the binary digit, 0O to represent the octal number, 0X to represent the hexadecimal number, right? So basically what I'm trying to say, 12 will get converted into hexa value 18, correct? Here, similarly, 20, you can take another number here. This is variable 2, right? Okay. So 20 is basically getting converted into octal value 16, whereas this 1010 is getting converted into This is the difference. So binary, we are directly mentioning that gets converted into the actual decimal part. So this bit a little bit confusing for binary numbers, but for octal and decimal, whatever the number you are mentioning, that is getting converted into that particular format. So 0x means hexadecimal, 0 means octal. 0b means you already mentioned in the decimal, but if you try to print it, it gets converted into decimal only. The problem is you are converting them into the required format as and when you want. Correct. So based on that, you have to understand these assignments. These are called as a manual assignment. You are only assigning the value, right? So what if I don't want to do the manual assignment and I want to read the input from the user, right? So now you will get much more clarity. Suppose I want to enter the integer number. So integer number means you know that it is in decimal format. Let's get converted into the uh, other format from integer to hexa or octal. We can do in that way, right? So result one. So there are a lot of inbuilt function for this which you can use. But again, sometimes during examinations, they'll keep a restriction on using this inbuilt function also. So you should know your manual conversion also. But since it is a Python, I'm explaining Python. I'm just giving you this function name. So you can use any method until and unless it is supported. Now I just want to print binary value. So where is my data in res1, right? So let me enter the binary integer number. So you can see if I enter the integer number 15, I'm getting the binary number in that notation. So what is the notation? 0 followed by B, all ones I'm getting. Similarly, you can check it for hexa also, right? So hexa 0xf, right? Right. So I'm getting 0xc. So 12 is C in hexa. Similarly, now what you are understanding? Integer value for 18, hexa value is 12. Correct. For integer value 18, hexa value is 12. So in that way, you can understand. So 0x for hexadecimal. Similarly, 0O for octal numbers, right? So these are the inbuilt functions to do that. Sometimes they tell don't use this format. Okay. So they say don't use these inbuilt functions. So I'll just comment line then. Right. So what are the alternative ways? You should know all the different ways. So if there is a restriction on the input format, right? That is don't use the inbuilt function. So you can format it using our format method, which I taught you guys, right? Format method, all of you know, right? So here what I'm trying to do. Okay. Now, without using this inbuilt function, we are still able to get our data in the binary format, correct? So what is that syntax I'm using in the flower bracket? Zero is not necessary actually. So you can just mention colon B, B means binary, then dot format num, right? So the number that I'm reading is getting converted into binary format. But you see that prefix 0b is not attached to this particular format. Whereas if I use inbuilt method, it 0b by default it comes in. So this is binary value. So you can try to similarly if I want to convert into octal. So f is my x is my hexadecimal value. For octal, you can use O, not 0, O, right? So 17 is octal value of integer 15. These are the different ways. Apart from this also, there is one more way. So as a beginner, you should know all these ways because you don't know what type of requirement they have given in the constraints, right? So similarly, if I want to check the number in octal format, right? Suppose I want to check in octal format and I want to exactly get this kind of message. So dot format method I am going to use again. So to the dot format method, first thing I have to mention is the variable name. So what is my variable name? DEC. So decimal value I have to give. Then you can mention the octal function and followed by the value. Okay, so this is also possible. So here what we were doing, directly we were applying the function. Same thing we are using the dot format method. So here we were not using the dot format, right? So we are directly printing the value. So it is also similar. So you have to mention the variable name followed by the function, inbuilt function, to which format you want to convert to, and in the inside that you have to mention the variable name. So here DEC is the variable name. Let me see. Does it? No, no, DEC is not variable name. It is a format. So don't get confused. So for example, if I mention it as bin, and here bin, so to which format it is getting converted to, right? So in the decimal, in the binary format, right? Okay, so it is getting into the binary format. So like this, you can use multiple ways of converting from one format to another format. So based on this, I hope you got some clarity how to apply this. Try to experiment and uh, learn how to use them based on your requirement. Any doubt in this? So 0x, 0o, and 0b. Any doubt? Okay, so based on this interaction, let me launch a poll question. Okay, just let me know whether the poll is visible to you guys with the options. Yes. So what is the prefix used to represent a binary number in Python? Simple question, just to see how many of you are alert. No options. Is it visible in my screen at least? Yeah. Okay. So you're getting in my screen, but not in your screen. So near the poll, it is giving this message. To see this poll, go back to your meeting or the polls app. Okay. We can't access the poll app through browser, sir. Fine. No problem. Just try to see on my screen and answer in the chat box. So what is the syntax? 0b. Okay. I think I am only answering. I'll see the settings next time why it is not showing in the browser. Okay. The next question. So which built-in function is used to convert decimal number to octal? I think you guys need to see the poll on your screen. I think all of you are checking in chat box, I feel. The poll is visible on your home screen of your meeting. Yeah, so decimal number to octal is just mention OCT small case followed by in the bracket mention the number that you want to convert, right? Good. Okay, next question. Yeah. Can you see this question? I think even for me, it is not launching. So what does the following print function print given the variable value as 0b 10111? So is it this one or this one or this one or this one? Right? So are we converting from binary to hexa or hexa to binary? Yes. Okay. So answer is 0x17. We're trying to convert binary to hexadecimal. Yeah, try to see this question. It's a bit tricky. So using while loop, what could be the possible output? Take your time, no problem. Try to trace by yourself. Don't depend on compilers or see the output and tell me. You should understand by yourself. Worst case, you can ask me, you can type it and check, not an issue. But first step is to trace it. Hope it's visible to you guys. Okay, so see this code and answer the question. Yeah, you need to explain the answer. Somebody's telling D, somebody's telling 2. I got only 3 answers. You should not take more than 1 minute for analyzing. If you're typing and telling me, that is a different issue. But in the company exams, you don't have option to type, see the editor and check. Correct? Surya Teja has given some explanation. 0011. So is it 0011? What exactly it is? See carefully. Your answer is correct, but your explanation is wrong. It's not 0011. Yes, correct answer is 2 only. But you should give careful attention to what is the value. So we are not actually dividing it by 11. So it is an octal representation. Since I is an integer, right? You are trying to take the mod value with this 0 11 which is nothing but octal value. So before taking the mod, it gets converted into the decimal, right? So the 9 is basically the decimal value of octal 11. Correct. Now, so 5 mod 9 is not 0, correct? So it won't break. We'll print 5. Then 6 mod 9 is again 6 mod 9 is also not 0, so we'll print 6. 7 mod 9 is not 0, we'll print 7. 8 mod 9 is not 0, so we'll print 8. But when the I value becomes 9, so 9 mod 9 is actually 0, right? So we'll break the loop, we'll stop the printing. So what is while true? What do you mean by while true? Whenever you use while true, so what does it mean? So it is called as infinite loop, correct? So that means you have to find a way to come out of that loop. It won't exit by itself. Okay, so you have to break the loop based on your manual condition. So while true is equal to your infinite loop. Okay, that means it is always true. The condition is always true. Only when inside, if you are having a break keyword, or is there any way to come out of the loop, then only it will come out. So it is called as infinite loop. So these are few tricky things that you need to carefully observe. You won't have much time also. All these questions you have to tell within like 1 minute, 1 minute questions. For this, your basic skills you need to be thoroughly knowing. So people get confused. Condition doesn't terminate still the condition. Yes, so condition won't terminate. Basically, there is no terminating condition for while loop. Only break is helping it to come out of the loop, right? So it is stopping the loop based on this condition, if condition. But while itself doesn't have any condition. So correct answer is second one. Okay. So I think, yeah. So one last question. Yes. So try to check this. You should try to analyze by yourself. So we are trying to assign the value false to true. Then again, infinite loop. While true, we are printing true. Then we are breaking. So will it print true or false? That's the question. Syntax error, right? So many of you are telling me it is a syntax error. So let us try to verify it. Meanwhile, you keep answering. While true, what you're trying to print? The variable value, right? So what is the error? Syntax error cannot assign to true. So as you guys know that true is an inbuilt keyword. So you can't use keywords as the variables. First step only you should be able to understand error. So you need not to go to the next lines itself. So observing every careful, detailing of the lines is very important. So true is not a variable. True is a value, which is a keyword. So you can't assign false to true. So all the next things that you have written becomes irrelevant. So you need not to even go and check it. What could be the possible reason for the error? So here itself, you should understand. Okay. Isn't false was a string. Why can't while true loop be broken without using break statement as long as the condition is false? See, true, while true, the meaning itself is it is an infinite loop. So without having any terminating criteria, how can you come out of that particular loop, right? So there is no way to come out of the while loop without having the terminating criteria. So to explain this, I will just I think last session also we had given menu driven programs in Python, right? So let us see how do you create a function in Python? How do you create a function in Python? So as I told you, you have to use def keyword. So let us just simple question. So here I am creating a add function with two parameters. So I need not to mention the data type in Python. Directly I can mention the variable name. So what does this function is do is it just adds two numbers, right? it prints a value. Suppose I want exactly, or I want to print just one, not A and B. You can customize it later on. Similarly, let me have one more function, subtract. This also accept two parameters, colon. So this is the way to define function in Python. I hope you remember this, which we saw in the last session. Correct. Next, so these are the two functions I have in my code. Let us read the value. So how will you read the value from the user using input function? So I'm reading two values. Okay. Now at this point, so before going to this, okay, tell me why I'm getting this error. Value error I'm getting. Invalid literal for int with base 10, 2, 3. So can anyone tell me what is the reason here? I think the code looks correct. The error is coming on which line? Uh, just me let me put the line number. So I'm getting the line number 12. I'm getting the error, right? So it is highlighted here. Line number 12, I'm getting the error. So what is the reason? Anyone? Why I'm getting error here? Two inputs are given through same line. Neha is telling function call. Abbas is telling two inputs are given through same line. Yes. Any other reason? Sir, AB is not passed to the function. We should use map. String input to. No, I don't want to use map. I want to stick to my code and solve the errors. See, first step is as a beginner, whenever you are getting error in the code, don't run away from the error. Understand what is the error in your code and try to solve sticking to your logic. Worst case is you can use the alternative way, but here I don't want to use map function. I want to read like this only. Okay, split function, someone is telling. No, I don't want to use split function also. I don't want to use map also. I don't want to use split function also. So you should give a and values in the beginning of the code. Okay. So Shrikar is telling I should give. Let me just add this in the beginning. So still I'm getting value error as per Shrikar's suggestion. I added in the beginning only. So there is no change. So I think I got correct answer by Sanjana. So you should give inputs in two different lines, correct? So whenever such requirements are there, you should understand that because in most of the platforms, not always you will be reading the values on the same line. Sometimes they say read it on separately on each line, right? Or read it on the same line. So based on that, you have to adjust your code, correct? So you should have clarity how to do it separately, one by one. So many times they will use for loop. If you use for loop, you can read one by one. Then if you don't want to read it separate on lines, then again map function you can use, split function you can use. So this is a many people make this mistake and tell sir we are getting error in our code. First line only they'll get stuck. So remove semicolon. Where is the semicolon? Okay. Right. So now I'm not getting any error because I'm reading each on the next line. Okay. So continuing with this. Now I'll use while loop, infinite loop. Okay. So what you have to do infinite loop? Since we are creating the menu driven, so you can use a new line character mention as a menu. Then I want to give some tab space. Then I want to write sum of two numbers. Then again tab space. Then difference tab space. Then for 3, I want to keep the exit option. Right. So this is the menu option that I want to print. Then for user, I want to give the choice, right? So he has to enter the choice. So we will write enter your choice. Okay. So up to here, I hope there is no confusion. Then here, you know that based on our choice, the action should be taken. So if choice equal to 1, what I'll do? We'll call Just 2 minutes. So add A comma B. If choice is 1, I'm calling the add function. Then otherwise, if choice is 2, choice is 2, what function we should call? What is the function name? Sub, right? So subtraction function I have to call with the parameters A and B. Right. Finally, if there are no matching options, please provide valid input. But here I have to exit manually, right? If choice equal to 1, call the function and break the loop. Here also call the function, break the loop. See, I am not worried much about indentation as if you are observing. 90% of the indentation is already provided by the editor. See, only where you have to be careful. Now, does it work? When I press after break, I'm pressing enter button. It is going to this lines, right? So now this will give error. So if and else all should be on the same column, right? So all of them should align to the same column. So this only you need to be very careful. But rest of the things it does itself. Compiler does itself. Correct. So these are the functions that we are calling. Now I'm getting the menu option. So let me enter the choice as 2. Right. So 2 minus 3 minus 1, I'm exiting. So now hope your this thing is clear while true. So this will, as long as there is a, suppose if I don't add this, what happens? If I don't add this, what happens? So I'll enter, right? So what is happening? Without break, I'm getting the same menu again and again because it is an infinite loop. So we did 2 minus 4. Again, let me give the value 1. Right. So I'm getting 2 plus 4, 6. Again, same thing. So only when I press 3, again, press 3 is for valid input. Please enter a valid input, right? So, so we are keep on going into the infinite loop. So there is no way to come out of the loop itself, right? So what is the one more thing I have to add? So here, if ch equal to 3, what I should do? Break, right? Without doing anything, I have to break. Kernel. If something happened to the kernel, just have to restart it. So sometimes when you face this kind of issue, just shut down the uh, Jupyter notebook or reconnect it. Yeah, you can use exit also. Hello. Sorry guys, my laptop got switched off. Just I'll complete the topic. 2 minutes. So somebody asked, right? So you can use exit also, not an issue. So if your notebook gets stuck at some point, just shut down your kernel, then again restart it. Okay. So now it's coming as you can see. Name add is not defined. So what is the issue? We'll just check it out. Name error is coming. Name sub is not defined. Definition is not required actually. Yeah. See, sometimes you just get this kind of errors. So don't think that your code is wrong. Just try to adjust the spaces and see where is the issue. So I think it's small spacing issue, I think. So hope you got it. Let me press 3. So I'm exiting the loop. Somebody asked, can we use exit? Right. So 2 plus 3, 5. I think exit as a keyword, I have not checked it. Exit 0, you have to press it. So maybe exit 0 will work out, not just exit button. So this is a menu driven program for Python where you can use while loop as a infinite loop. Depending on your requirement, you can adjust your conditions also. Similarly, while loop can be used in a lot of other ways, right? Suppose you can directly iterate over the string in, right, in for loop and while loop. Okay, so strings can be directly be iterated at a time. Then there is one more variation of the for loop. As I told you, we can step the count instead of sticking to +1. So here I am giving the step count as 2. Maximum number is 6. So suppose if I give 20 up to 20, except 20, we are increasing the step by 2, right? So this is one more alternative way to do it. So try to apply this for loop while loop concept. Similarly, suppose if you have some condition, you can use while loop for that. So while I is less than 10, suppose I want to iterate up to that 10, then I want to stop when I becomes 5, correct? Otherwise, I want to increment by 2. The same thing manually you can do. Start with 1, print I. So if I equal to 5, stop it, or else do the step 2, correct? So when I reaches 5, we are coming out of the loop. Suppose if I use continue, what happens? See, it is going to the infinite loop. It is not even stopping. What is the reason? Because the condition always becomes true, correct? So after I reached 5, it is going to the infinite loop and it is not stopping until I manually stops it. So can change this condition and rerun the code. So sometimes we'll end up going to the infinite loop. So be careful with that. Then in the tomorrow's, I mean in the next session, so we'll learn about nested loops also. Just give you the hint about that. You can prepare and come. So right. So what I'm trying to do understand here. Okay. So I have a word here, great. Then I have taken one variable, index variable X. Then I am tracing up to that word, right? So what does it trace up to? When I mention word, is it about the length of the word or is it the total characters in that particular word? Anyone? Characters in the word, GR, okay? Characters. So can you tell me what does it print basically? So just like you saw here, we are going up to the number of characters. So here 5 characters are there. I'm extracting each character and I'm printing on the same line. But here just a difference is I am taking another variable and every time for that index I'm adding plus I to it. So let me print this. Okay. So what is the output I'm getting? I'm getting like a triangle shape output, right? Something like this. Right angle triangle. The number character triangle. So GR, in that way. Correct. So the same question, I want you guys to just experiment with that. How it is giving you that plus sign. So basically X is initially a string, right? So it's an empty string. So whenever you use double quotes, it becomes a string. So we are just adding each character to the string. Initially, we are printing the first character, that is I, for I in word, X equal to X plus I. So G is the first character that is printing. Then when I go back, I becomes 2, I mean 1. So G and R getting concatenated, right? Similarly, I becomes 2, GRI 3, 4 in that way. So the same question I want you guys to experiment and I want the output something like this. Instead of concatenation, I want to give a separate space GR, GRI, then GRIET in that way. So give a space between those alphabets here. Modify the same code, and I'll ask this question in the next session. And how to learn this nested loop with the different patterns. How can we generate? So please understand patterns are very important problems. So you need a lot of practice and understanding to solve this pattern problems. Even I practice a lot of times because it takes time to understand the logics of pattern problems. So if you start this process now only, you will definitely able to crack the pattern problems in the exams. So pattern problems we will check in the next session. Nested loop, few more topics about nested loop. Then we will see some test cases, real-time scenarios, how to apply this pattern problems. Then most importantly, we will start with our input function. So as of now, you already saw the glimpses of the input function. How can we use in the input function itself? We already saw how to use split function, map function, right? And different ways of reading the input. So this is a very important session because as long as you understand how to read the input, based on the constraint, based on the test case, you won't face much problem in the logic. Otherwise, in the first step itself, you'll get a lot of syntax errors, type errors, value errors. So try to give more importance to understanding different ways of reading the input in Python. So we will try to solve these problems in the next session. So meanwhile, I want all of you to complete the first 20 questions by Friday. Maximum deadline is Friday. Okay. So after Friday, I'll add new questions based on loops and other topics that I'm covering in this week, right? So you will get a fresh set of questions by Friday. Okay, today is Tuesday. So you have two more days time to complete your first 20 questions, right? So on Friday, I will enable uh, problems based on input function as well as looping conditional statements, right? So a lot of practice problems will be solving for your clarity. So with that information, I want to wind up today's session. Whoever have any doubt, please, as I told you, go to the uh, discussion and announcement section here. So better I'll change it to discussion forum only. So here Q&A forum, try to apply whatever the doubts you have in this particular section, right? So a lot of people have still doubt. Try to put it there. I'll answer in the free time in my college hours, right? And any other doubts you can mention here, no issue. So I'll see you again in the next session. That is on coming Friday. I think Friday is holiday, right? So I think this Friday is holiday. So we'll try to prepone that on to Thursday. Okay. So day after tomorrow, we'll try to keep it. So as I told you, go to this announcement section and try to register for the session in the next session also. Don't get confused yourself. Okay. So I'm winding up the session. See you next time.